2006. Okay? That year the theme was reverse reality. And without us realizing or knowing it, we had a unique situation that occurred. I just want to talk to you for a second about the power of one. You see, it was a Saturday night, just like tonight, and we had asked a group to do an offertory, and matter of fact, the offering that night went for the mission, which are a group of students who help us facilitate Winterfest around the country. And especially here, we use about 125 of them to do ushers, prayer warriors, watch the doors, all kind of things. But that night, there was a special group that did a skit. Matter of fact, the director of that group is Tim Houston, and Tim is here. I want him to come on out tonight. Tim had been inspired by a song he heard to write a skit for his mission team to do as they worked inner city ministries and the places they would go. Tim, tell us about how that happened.
We were just inspired to communicate to this generation about the pressures that they were under, the pressure of greed, lust, all the external pressures, and we wanted to challenge a generation to be conformed through Jesus Christ from the inside out through a transformation through that relationship.
The band that performed the song is called Lifehouse. Tim heard it and was inspired to write this in his group, and one of the members of the mission is here tonight, and she's representing all the mission students, and especially Mission Baltimore, who performed the skit that night. Well, it was very powerful, and a lot of people were impacted, and I remember that night it was a very unusual anointing in the house, and I remember the skit. But some months later, my daughter told me, she said, "Dad," said, "our video on YouTube is doing real good." I said, "Brittany, we don't have a video on YouTube." She said, "Oh, yes, we do." I said, "I'm telling you, we don't. We've not published anything, and I'm not even sure what YouTube is all about, but I'm telling you, we don't have one." She said, "Daddy," she said, "I'm telling you, there's a student that's put this on the website, and right now it's got almost 1 million views on YouTube." I said, "You mean to tell me that 1 million people have watched a piece of Winterfest?" She said, "That's right." She said, "But that's not the end of it." Said, "It's really growing, and it's just going like crazy." And I said, "Well, try to get a hold of whoever did this and tell them it's okay right now, but if this gets out of hand, we could be liable for lawsuits and all kind of things." And she said, "All right, I'll do it." Well, she tried to connect, and we've tried to connect over the years, but we found out what happened and how this occurred. And tonight, from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Jeremy Leake, a youth pastor, was there that night. Jeremy and his youth group was so impacted by this skit, they went out to the DVD table and they bought a $15 DVD to go back and take this skit in their youth group. Jeremy, what happened when we went back to Hopkinsville?
We started playing the video at church before service, and the more we played it, the more the kids grew to love it, and we learned the video. We was trying to reach our city, our youth in our city, so we began to perform it at different youth rallies, a Disciple Now, trying to get it out there, and we know people deal with them kind of things, so we're just trying to show Jesus through that skit. It was amazing.
So you see, that's all right, give them a nice hand. They took a piece of Winterfest back to their city, and now Winterfest was impacting the city of Hopkinsville, Kentucky. But a part of that team and that drama team was a young man named Brian. And Brian, I want you to come on out here. It took us forever to find him. As a matter of fact, that in doing the research and trying to find out how this occurred, because see, in October of last year, my daughter gave me a report. She said, "Daddy," says, "we've now got 3 million people that have seen this video." I'm out in Kansas, and I'm speaking to a group of youth leaders, and I just share about how God has taken a piece of Winterfest, and now people across the globe have experienced this and how it's blessing people. And on the back row of that session, a guy jumps up and he says, hey. He said, "Is that us? The Lifehouse skit?" I said, "That's Church of God 2006 Winterfest." He said, "I can't believe that." He said, "My sister emailed that to me at work." And said, "I sat there and cried like a baby. I was so blessed by what happened there." He said, I just forwarded that video to everybody in my plant that I work at. He said, that morning on break, I won 5 people to Christ explaining that video. Now here's Brian's story, because it's already originated with Tim, been performed by the Mission Baltimore, and a youth pastor took it back in way of DVD to learn it. But then we had something unique to happen with Brian, who was a member of that team. Brian, what happened? How did this get on the web?
Well, when Jeremy just said that we performed it at the Disciple Now conference, there was, about 700, 800 people there that night, and everybody there was impacted by it. Well, a friend of mine that went to that church that we did it at got back to me that she was like, man, that skit was powerful. I mean, tell me about it. How, where'd you come up with it and everything? So I told her about how we came here to Winterfest back in 2006, and we saw Mission Baltimore performing and stuff, and she's like, man, I'd like to see that. I was like, what? I got the DVD. So she was like, yeah, I kind of want to see it. So I posted it on YouTube, told her about it, and she watched it and everything, and that's how it happened.
So what Brian is telling me, that he never intended for 3 million people to see this. Brian posted this on YouTube for one girl named Erica, I believe you told me. And in the moment of trying to reach one, here's what's happened. They're going to show it to you on the screen. The original post by Brian, and you probably, when you see this slide, you'll remember what it looks like. YouTube is now gone to over 6.2 million people on YouTube. But you see, another youth leader took that and posted it over on GodTube. It became the #1 video on GodTube and has been that for several months now. And as of this morning, when we checked it again, it's over 10 million strong on GodTube alone. So here's my point. You would think one event at Winterfest, one writer, Tim Houston, one mission team, one youth pastor, and one faithful student who's not a televangelist, because you see, a televangelist reaches thousands. But this is Brian, a normal student from Kentucky like you guys, who went in his room, took a DVD, and posted a positive message, something that impacted him for a friend, to reach a friend. Here's my point, is that in the old days, we used to do personal evangelism, which taught us to walk up to somebody who we may or may not know and say, do you know for sure if you were to die today, would you go to heaven? You say that nowadays to some people, they'll send you on to heaven right quick. But Brian figured out a way to do this by posting this and sharing this video and the gospel on YouTube. So you would think that one event, one director, one mission team, one youth pastor, and one student equals how many? How many? No. When God gets in the mix, they'll show it to you. It's over 16 million people have now seen a piece of Winterfest, and hundreds have come to Christ. So can I ask you this? Even though you come this weekend, you have a great time, we have wonderful services, your life is impacted, that's not the bottom line. We want life change to occur. But what we want more than anything else is for when you leave here tomorrow, for you to take a piece of this with you, that we may go back and change this country for Jesus Christ. You see, here's my point. If Brian could reach 16 million people for Christ, what can you do? Most of you have MySpaces, Facebooks, you're on the web, you text message, you have the ability, without being a Jensen Franklin or Pastor Tommy Bates or Reggie Dabbs, you can share the gospel of Jesus Christ and millions of people can hear the message. Let me ask you this, are you ready to change your country for Jesus Christ? You see, for Jeremy, it was the price of a DVD. He had to make a decision to spend 10 or 15 bucks because he wanted to take this back. and share it with people who wasn't in this arena and this venue. I challenge you tonight to obey God. If God is challenging you, maybe there's some students who did not get on your bus and come this weekend, but they would love to hear and experience the powerful messages and worship you've experienced. You could throw a party in your basement, put on a DVD,